is nothing, no nothing, nothing to fear. There is nothing, no nothing, nothing to fear. There is nothing, no nothing, nothing to fear. There is nothing, nothing, nothing to fear. There is nothing to fear. You might think there is if there was a little earthquake and you were sitting on one of those big old rocks. But you know, that's what we're starting to learn, is that we're eternal. We're immortal beings. And we can't die, so there's nothing to fear. The worst thing you'd ever happen to is you'd die, and that'd be a good thing. There's no, because you would realize that, okay, I wasn't a body after all. I'm eternal spirit. I'm home. Okay. Well, I'm Forgiveness Willie, teaching forgiveness from the Ozarks, here in the Garden of the Gods, right outside of Manitou Springs, Colorado, which is right outside of Colorado Springs, Colorado. Thank you all so much for joining me here today on Lesson 48. We're reading from A Course in Miracles, from the Foundation for Inner Peace version of A Course in Miracles. Here on this is for Lesson 48, which will be for Monday, February the 17th of 2025. And it's Friday for me, preceding that Monday. And our word, our affirmation for the day: there is nothing to fear. And he wants us to say that just repeatedly all through the day. Let's read the lesson. There's nothing to fear. The idea for today simply states a fact. It simply states a fact. God put us in a place where there's nothing to fear. There is nothing to fear. The idea for today simply states a fact. It is not a fact to those who believe in illusions, but illusions are not facts. In truth, there is nothing to fear. In truth, there is nothing to fear. It is very easy to recognize this, but it is very difficult to recognize it for those who want illusions to be true. Today's practice periods will be very short, very simple, and very frequent. Merely repeat the idea as often as possible. You can use it with your eyes open at any time and in any situation. There is nothing to fear, regardless of what's coming at you or happening around you or what you're seeing. Just tell yourself, okay, I'm an eternal being, and God wouldn't put me in a place where there's something to be afraid of or that would hurt me. There is nothing to fear. But he wants us just to tell ourselves this throughout the day. Today's practice periods will be very short, very simple, and very frequent. Merely repeat the idea as often as possible. You can use it with your eyes open at any time and in any situation. It is strongly recommended, however, that you take a minute or so whenever possible to close your eyes and repeat the idea slowly to yourself several times. There is nothing to fear. You just repeat it several times with your eyes closed today also. There is nothing to fear. Of course, he wants us just to say it all day long, eyes open or eyes closed. But he said it'd be highly beneficial if you took a few minutes throughout the day to close your eyes and just repeat the idea, there is nothing to fear. Like we learned the other day, you tell children, do only this. Well, tell yourself, there's nothing to fear. Learn to live by that affirmation. There is nothing to fear. And when you find some fear welling up in you, know that it's another opportunity to learn about yourself, to find out what thoughts you're holding that aren't worthy of the child of God. It is particularly important that you use the idea immediately should anything disturb your peace of mind. So if something does come up that disturbs your peace of mind and you feel a little fearful, well then be sure to say, there is nothing to fear. And you might do it with your eyes closed. If you're really feeling a lot of anxiety about something, close your eyes and sit down and tell yourself repeatedly a few times, there's nothing to fear. And let the Holy Spirit reassure you of the truth about it. Not just, you're not having to do this on your own. Matter of fact, it's because you're trying to make things the way that you want them to be is why you do have fear. As we start learning more and more to defer our thoughts to the Holy Spirit, we'll truly realize that it's a simple statement of a simple fact. There's nothing to fear. The presence of fear is a sure sign you are trusting your own strength. Man, your strength isn't worthy of that. The awareness that there's nothing to fear shows that somewhere in your mind, though not necessarily in a place you recognize as yet, you have remembered God and let His strength take the place of yours. Let's read that again. It's your weakness at the end. It says, the awareness that there is nothing to fear shows that somewhere in your mind, though not necessarily in a place you recognize as yet, you have remembered God and let His strength take the place of your weakness. The instant you are willing to do this, there is indeed nothing to fear. And that's our lesson today, a little simple lesson. And throughout the day, no long periods of sitting down and meditating. You can sit down and repeat the idea to yourself, there's nothing to fear. But you don't have to. He said it'd be highly beneficial to spend a few minutes doing that. But just throughout the day, as often as you can, remind yourself, there's nothing to fear. Okay, let's go look at our text reading. And we're in chapter 6, the lessons of love. Roman numeral 5, the lessons of the Holy Spirit. Remember what the first lesson was, to have, give all to all. And then the next lesson is to have peace, teach peace to learn it. Okay, so let's read that. It's B. All who believe in separation have a basic fear of retaliation and abandonment. They believe in attack and rejection, so that is what they perceive and teach and learn. These insane ideas are clearly the result of dissociation and projection. What you teach, you are. What you teach, you are. What you teach, you are, but it is quite apparent that you can teach wrongly and therefore teach yourself wrong. Many thought I was attacking them, even though it was apparent I was not. He's talking about when he was on the earth, that he healed people, but a lot of people thought he was attacking them. He's going to explain why. Many thought I was attacking them, even though it was apparent I was not. An insane learner learns strange lessons. What you must recognize is that when you do not share a thought system, you are weakening it. Those who believe in it, therefore, perceive this as an attack on them. This is because everyone identifies himself with his own thought system, and every thought system centers on what you believe you are. If the center of the thought system is true, only truth extends from it. But if a lie is at the center, only deception proceeds from it. Paragraph 2. All good teachers realize that only fundamental change will last, but they do not begin at that level. Strengthening motivation for change is their first and foremost goal. It is also their last and final one. Increasing motivation for change in the learner is all that a teacher need do to guarantee change. Change in motivation is a change of mind, and this will inevitably produce fundamental change, because the mind is fundamental. Paragraph 3. The first step in the reversal or undoing process is the undoing of the getting concept. Accordingly, the Holy Spirit's first lesson was to have, give all to all. Exactly the opposite. The ego thinks that If I give, then I'm not going to have. But the Holy Spirit realizes the only way you can have is to give. So he says his first lesson is to have, give all to all. I said that this is apt to increase conflict temporarily, and we can clarify this still further now. At this point, the equality of having and being is not yet perceived. Until it is, having appears to be the opposite of giving. Therefore, the first lesson seems to contain a contradiction, since it is being learned by a conflicted mind. Since it is being learned by a conflicted mind. I put emphasis in the wrong place there. Let's read that sentence again. Read the last two sentences. At this point, the equality of having and being is not yet perceived. Until it is, having appears to be the opposite of giving. Therefore, the first lesson seems to contain a contradiction, since it is being learned by a conflicted mind. This means conflicting motivation, and so the lesson cannot be learned consistently as yet. Further, the mind of the learner projects its own conflict and thus does not perceive consistency in the minds of others, making him suspicious of their motivation. This is the real reason why, in many respects, the first lesson is the hardest to learn. Still strongly aware of the ego in yourself and responding primarily to the ego in others, you are being taught to react to both as if what you do believe is not true. Paragraph 4. Upside down as always, the ego perceives the first lesson as insane. In fact, this is the only alternative, since the other possibility, which would be much less acceptable to it, would obviously be that it is insane. The ego's judgment, here as always, is predetermined by what it is. The fundamental change will still occur with the change of mind in the thinker. Meanwhile, the increasing clarity of the Holy Spirit's voice makes it impossible for the learner not to listen. For a time, then, he is receiving conflicting messages and accepting both. Paragraph 5. The way out of conflict between two opposing thought systems is clearly to choose one and relinquish the other. If you identify with your thought system, and you cannot escape this, and if you accept two thought systems which are in complete disagreement, peace of mind is impossible. If you teach both, which you will surely do as long as you accept both, you are teaching conflict and learning it. Yet you do want peace, or you would not have called upon the voice for peace to help you. We've called upon the voice for peace. So we definitely want peace because the fact that we're here listening, that we're studying this, we've called upon the voice for peace. He says, yet you do want peace, or you would not have called upon the voice for peace to help you. Its lesson is not insane. The conflict is. Paragraph 6. There can be no conflict between sanity and insanity. Only one is true, and therefore only one is real. The ego tries to persuade you that it is up to you to decide which voice is true. But the Holy Spirit teaches you that truth was created by God, and your decision cannot change it. As you begin to realize the quiet power of the Holy Spirit's voice and its perfect consistency, it must dawn on your mind that you're trying to undo a decision that was irrevocably made for you. That is why I suggested before that you remind yourself to allow the Holy Spirit to decide for God for you. Now, do you remember where he said that? That was the very last paragraph of our last chapter. Let's read that again. I'm back up. Your part is merely to return your thinking to the point at which the error was made and give it over to the atonement in peace. Say this to yourself as sincerely as you can, remembering that the Holy Spirit will respond fully to your slightest invitation. I must have decided wrongly because I'm not at peace. I made the decision myself, but I can also decide otherwise. I want to decide otherwise because I want to be at peace. I do not feel guilty because the Holy Spirit will undo all the consequences of my wrong decision if I will let Him. I choose to let Him by allowing Him to decide for God for me. Hey, you remember that? What a beautiful way to restorative when you find yourself lacking peace. You go back to that last paragraph of chapter 5 and just say it to yourself until it becomes just a way of living, a habit of life. Okay, let's read that last sentence we just read again. Let's see, back a couple sentences. As you begin to realize the quiet power of the Holy Spirit's voice, as you begin to realize the quiet power of the Holy Spirit's voice and its perfect consistency, it must dawn on your mind that you are trying to undo a decision that was irrevocably made for you. That is why I suggested before that you remind yourself to allow the Holy Spirit to decide for God for you. Paragraph 7. You are not asked to make insane decisions, although you can think you are. It must, however, be insane to believe that it is up to you to decide what God's creations are. The Holy Spirit perceives the conflict exactly as it is. Therefore, His second lesson is to have peace. Teach peace to learn it. Wow, you want to have peace? Then you've got to teach it. You've got to, as you teach it, you're going to learn it. To have peace, teach peace to learn it. Paragraph 8. This is still a preliminary step since having and being are still not equated. It is, however, more advanced than the first step, which is really only the beginning of the thought reversal. To have, give all to all is the beginning. The second step, to have peace, teach peace to learn it. The second step is a positive affirmation of what you want. This then is a step in the direction out of conflict, since it means that alternatives have been considered and one has been chosen as more desirable. Nevertheless, the term more desirable still implies that the desirable has degrees. Therefore, although this step is essential for the ultimate decision, it is clearly not the final one. Lack of order of difficulty in miracles has not yet been accepted, because nothing is difficult that is wholly desired. Nothing is difficult that is wholly desired. To desire wholly is to create, and creating cannot be difficult if God Himself created you as a creator. And the last paragraph to finish this section. The second step then is still perceptual, although it is a giant step toward the unified perception that reflects God's knowing. As you take this step and hold this direction, you will be pushing toward the center of your thought system, where the fundamental change will occur in your thought system. At the second step, progress is intermittent, but the second step is easier than the first because it follows. Realizing that it must follow is a demonstration of a growing awareness that the Holy Spirit will lead you on. And where will He lead you? We'll get then that tomorrow. But section C, the last lesson of the Holy Spirit, be vigilant only for God and His kingdom. Okay, and we'll go ahead and sing those three, and we can close here in a little bit, as well as there is nothing to fear. Let's see. And thanks again for joining me and studying A Course in Miracles here in the Garden of the Gods. There was a lot of rocks to choose from and a lot of beautiful scenes. I didn't know exactly which one to pick, and it took me a while to find something. You know, these big old rocks. Let me just show you a little bit around. Let me spin my camera just a little bit. There's some beautiful country. You can't really see a whole lot maybe from where I'm at, other than what I've kind of shown you. But anyway, thanks again for joining me today. It's Jessica and I are out here. It's actually Valentine's Day, and we're out here having a picnic at the Garden of the Gods. Actually a nice day. Warmer here in Colorado up in the mountains than it was back in Missouri when I left. Funny how that works, isn't it? Okay, what all's going on around the world? It's Family Day for, that's a Canadian holiday, Family Day. Nice to have a family day. Let's see what else we've got. Let's see if I can get this down. There we go. Okay, let's see. Cabbage Day, the Brassica oleracea, and I want to mention that, you know, you can be planting all your things indoors right now. Put them in a sunny window. Your tomatoes, your peppers, your warm season plants will grow longer than, before you can put them out. But you cabbages and your cold weather, all your other brassicas, your you know, kale is a Brassica oleracea. So is broccoli, cauliflower, lots of those. You can go ahead and get those started, and they'll be able to go out fairly quick. Once they get up a little bit, you can put them out, and they can withstand some frost. Indian Pudding Day. Now, the colonists, when they came over here to the New World, they were used to using molasses and oats to make pudding. And then they found out that they couldn't get any oats over here, at least in the beginning. They eventually started growing oats. But they learned about corn. And they could grind the corn and add the syrup to that and make a pudding out of molasses and corn. So thanks to our Native American brothers that taught them about corn, they were able to make Indian pudding. Public Science Day. And, you know, I think all of us need to really be scientists in the sense that, you know, God's reasonable and we can use science to find out. I believe we can use A Course in Miracles and it will withstand the empirical tests of if a person really wanted to study it from that standpoint. I like to study it from the basis of faith, but all my faith has been hey, with someone walking back there, you can kind of see how big that rock is. That's kind of cool when people walk by. Random Acts of Kindness Day. Random Acts of Kindness Day. And that should be every day, that you just follow the Holy Spirit to do whatever He tells you to do, being sure that you're giving all to all. Let's see. Who Shall I Be Day. Okay, I found these out of Holidays and Observances. I'm not reading all of them, but I'm reading several of them. And I just wanted to know, you know, who you are is unalterable. But you can, in this world, you can believe that you're a fearful person or that you're vulnerable. But let's learn who we really are. Let's be sure to take those silent times throughout the day. Today we're supposed to be telling ourselves, there is nothing to fear. I'm holding my umbrella because the wind's come up and it's about ready to blow it out of the ground. I put my umbrella up because I'm trying to keep the sun off, and the sun's not even shining. Man, it looks like it might start raining now. World Human Spirit Day. World Human Spirit. I think you could just say World Spirit Day. That's us, huh? And out of edible landscaping, we've got another blueberry I want to tell you about. It's a Vaccinium ashy Climax. Climax Southern. I'm hoping that my umbrella doesn't blow away. Let's see. Climax Southern Blueberry. Climax is a southern type blueberry with large berries ripening uniformly with a sweet flavor about 1 month before powder blue. Leaves have a blue hint and are very ornamental, turning red in the fall. Everyone should have a Climax in their backyard. Native Zone 7 through 9. Okay, let's see. Now, can I close with our song now without things blowing away? Let's see what I can do here. Give me just a minute to get set up. Wind's kind of changed things from the way I had it set up. And I may end up losing that umbrella, and if it does, we're just going to let her go. Thank you all so much for joining me again. There is nothing, nothing to fear. There is nothing, oh, nothing to fear. You know what? That would be a nice song, but that's not the song that I had. So let me listen to my little voice recorder for just a second. You'll give me, I think we got plenty of time. And I'm going to make sure I get the same song that I had last night when I was practicing. I feel like I need to, bring these songs to the earth, and that I try to get them as I heard them. There's nothing, there it is, nothing to fear. There's nothing, no, nothing to fear. There is nothing to fear. There is nothing, no, nothing to fear. The lessons of the Holy Spirit are to have, give all to all, to have peace, teach peace, to learn it, be vigilant for God and His kingdom, be vigilant only for God and His kingdom. The lessons of the Holy Spirit to have, give all to all, to have peace, teach peace, to learn it, be vigilant only for God and His kingdom. There is nothing to fear. 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 Okay, well, until tomorrow, tell yourself often there's nothing to fear. Our word is from Sanskrit, and it's for peace, and it's Shanti, spoken in India. Many of those languages, 22 languages spoken in India, but many of them say Shanti for peace. So Shanti be with you. There is nothing to fear. Shanti.